this video, we will talk about the role of exercise and resilience. Before we do that, it's important for us to understand the evolution of physical movement, where it came from, why it exists. Okay, so the brain evolved for survival and passing on the gene, as we have explained earlier. Now, in order to fulfill these objectives, more mechanisms were needed. Okay, and the nervous system evolved to facilitate that. For what? Move toward something and move away from something. Okay, moving towards opportunity and moving away from a threat. So movement in essence evolved to further survival and passing on the gene. Okay, so movement is very important for the brain. When we move, the brain thinks that we are engaged in the activity for survival and passing on the gene. Either we are moving toward an opportunity or we are moving away from a threat. Okay, so next time you're not engaging in any physical movement or spending all your day in front of a computer or sitting on a chair or watching TV all day, just think about it. Are you doing something good for the body? Are you in alignment with your brain or not? Think about this. We did not evolve for that. When we move, we feel better. This is a sign that the brain likes it and is rewarding us. Okay? We will dig deep into the whole phenomenon or the interaction of exercise and resilience building now. An important concept in the context of exercise and resilience building is neuroplasticity. Okay, what is neuroplasticity? In essence, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire or reconfigure itself when it meets new information. Okay, so exercise is the tool for neuroplasticity, but on a structural level. Okay, it enhances the very structures which are engaged in fighting stress, fighting adversity, and enhancing our capability to build resilience. The first process through which exercise enhances the brain capacity for neuroplasticity is through the increased production of neurotrophic factors. Neurons are an important part of our brain. Okay, they act as information processors. Okay, so they send information from one neuron to the other neuron, and this information is passed through chemical and electrical signals. Okay, and the process of transferring information is called synapses. So exercise strengthens these neurons. Exercise gives birth to neurons. Exercise optimize the function of these neurons through the activity of three chemicals or the enhancement of three chemicals. One is BDNF, the other one is IGF-1, and the third one is VEGF. Secondly, exercise is known to decrease inflammation in the brain. Okay, and this reduction of inflammation makes the brain perform better. It's a much healthier brain, and it's more amenable to changes, or the process of neuroplasticity becomes smooth and efficient. Cardiovascular exercise in particular has been known to contribute to the increase of the gray matter in our brains, particularly in the areas which are engaged in cognitive functions. Okay, so through this enhancement of cognitive functions, the brain is more capable machine now. Okay, this is something we need to understand, particularly the power of cardiovascular exercise. Now, this is more evident in certain parts of the brain. For example, the hippocampus, which is responsible for learning and memory, and it also plays a role in stress management or emotional regulations. Particularly, it influences the activity of the HPA axis. Okay, exercise is known to increase the gray matter in the hippocampus, strengthening its abilities. Okay, through that ability, the hippocampus, a strong hippocampus, can control the emotional responses or the stress response. Keep that in mind. Another area which is influenced by exercise, particularly aerobic exercise, is the area behind our forehead, which is called the prefrontal cortex. And we have discussed the role of prefrontal cortex in emotional regulation. Basically, there's a bidirectional communication between the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, the smart brain, the decision-making brain, the rational brain. So there is communication between this brain and the emotional brain. And through that bidirectional communication, we make decisions, optimal decisions. So exercise, particularly cardiovascular exercise, has been known to increase the gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. So a stronger prefrontal cortex is more capable prefrontal cortex now. It can control our emotions much, much better. So apart from the structures, there are certain chemicals, neurotransmitters and hormones that are also activated by exercise, which are influential in our ability to deal with stress or to build resilience. So we did discuss the BDNF earlier, which pretty much act like a fertilizer for the brain, because it enhances the brain's capacity to create more neurons and strengthen the functions of the existing neurons. The other chemical, which is a byproduct of exercise, is endorphins. Okay. Now, endorphins are the natural painkillers of the body. Okay. Those of you who exercise, particularly who engage in cardiovascular exercise, must have noticed a phenomenon called runner high. Okay, this is when you feel light and high and euphoric for quite a long time, and it helps a lot in enhancing our capacity for stress management. This is something I have observed in my life most of the time, right? Whenever I start my day with exercise, it could be a long walk, it could be golf, or it could be running, with the addition of some weight training, I found out that my whole day is more productive. I'm less stressed, I'm less anxious, and my ability to deal with adversities is much, much better. It is because of the abundance of endorphins in my body. Exercise is instrumental in the release of two neurotransmitters. One is serotonin and the other one is dopamine. Now, serotonin is known for its ability to enhance our mood, to regulate our emotions. And dopamine is instrumental in pleasure and reward-seeking behavior. So think of it, okay? We've got the two powerful chemicals which are released simultaneously into the system. Important for us to understand that the drugs which are given to patients who are suffering from anxiety or depression, those drugs activate these two chemicals to change that patient's emotional and mental state. Okay, exercise does the same thing without any pharmaceutical intervention. Now, let's analyze the direct impact of exercise on the stress response. Okay, so we discussed the HPA axis response during stress. Okay, the HPA axis is basically the hormonal side of things. Okay, it is initiated to flood the system with certain hormones which are required for that intense activity. And one of the main chemical hormone that is released in the system is called cortisol. But there's a problem. If this mechanism is inefficient, or there's something wrong with this mechanism, this can lead to mental health and physical health problems. For instance, if there is too much cortisol in the system for too long, this is basically chronic stress. Okay. Now, what exercise does is every time we exercise, we produce cortisol because it's a stress response. But because this stress response is different, this stress response is managed differently. Okay, so we produce a stress response, we produce cortisol, and then that amount comes down as we recover from the exercise. The body learns that, and the body now deploys the same mechanism to other stresses as well. The other part of the stress response is the autonomic nervous system response. Okay, so we've learned that the autonomic nervous system is composed of two subsystems. One is the sympathetic nervous system, and the other one is the parasympathetic nervous system. So in an unhealthy stress response, the sympathetic nervous system is engaged for too long, which is chronic stress. Okay. The parasympathetic nervous system job is to shut down the sympathetic nervous system and repair it for the next round or for the next stressor. So what happens with exercise is it strengthens the parasympathetic nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system through that exercise activity. Okay, so when we exercise, particularly when we engage in cardiovascular exercise, it will engage the sympathetic nervous system. But because we are breathing and we are taking a lot of oxygen in, okay, and also because there is a production of so many chemicals which are good for mood, which are good for emotional regulation, which are good for the brain. So now, through that mechanism, we have more control over our sympathetic nervous system. Okay, this is something we need to keep. Now, the question is how to go about it, what sort of exercise we should engage in. So it's a very individual choice, okay, because we're all different. We all have different capabilities. Okay? Some of us are good with weight training. Some of us are good with cardiovascular exercise. Some are good with sports. Some are good with just walking. Okay. Now, all of them are good. Okay, all of them are good, provided that we meet a certain threshold. Okay, it's not good to just go for a stroll around the corner and say, well, okay, I've done my 100 steps or whatever that is today. That's not optimal. Okay, so first of all, we need to consult our physicians. Okay, because we need to find out that there are no underlying physical issues which can either hamper our exercise, or worse, if exercise can damage our conditions further. So once we have a green light from the physician, then the idea is to breathe hard and sweat hard. Okay? If you can do that, you will have the optimal benefits of exercise. Okay? It's that breathing hard which kicks off all of the critical functions so essential for a healthy long life. Okay, there is so much science behind it. This is not the place to go into it now, because the time is short. So just understand the basic concept that exercise does involve some sort of physical exertion. Okay, now there is another thing I want to mention, which is the ability of exercise to enhance mindfulness. Okay, so imagine you are walking on a flat surface. Okay, so you're walking. Now, all the automatic functions of your body are engaged here. So when the automatic functions of the body are engaged, then the brain is free to think about all your problems and all your worries and whatever issues that you're going through. But now imagine you're walking uphill, you're walking downhill, walking side hill. You are engaged in a complex activity like dancing or sports or a group activity. Okay? There, the brain is totally focused on your balance. It's not thinking about your mortgage problem. It's not thinking about your relationship problem. It's not thinking about your professional problems. It is only concerned with now and your safety and balance. So complex activity add meditative power to exercise, which enhances your mood, which is good for your emotional regulation. So keep this factor in mind, then choose your activity. Okay, ideally exercise should include cardiovascular, stretching, and some sort of weightlifting, so that the muscles are in optimal shape. Now everything is connected. Okay, just because we are building muscles does not mean that we are not enhancing our brain capacity. Okay, there is a link. Just keep in mind that your brain is focused on two things: survival and passing on the gene. Okay, when we move, we tell the brain that now we're doing something about survival and passing on the gene. Either we are moving toward an opportunity or we're moving away from the threat. The brain take notice, and the brain will open up the taps of pleasure. It will engage all the positive systems in the brain to encourage you to do it more. So it will engage positive emotions. It is, in a way, telling you, I like it. Do it, do it, do it again. Why? Because now you are helping me in fulfilling these two objectives, which is survival and passing on the gene. When we don't exercise, the brain will engage negative emotion. And this is what happens when we spend all our days sitting down or not engaging in any physical activities. Don't expect a good mood if you don't exercise.